Doctor Doom and Avengers Doomsday are capturing all the headlines, and it seems like Marvel Studios, the MCU, are putting an enormous focus on Doctor Doom. He's going to be the next big threat, your next big Thanos-level threat, and certainly Doctor Doom has all the bona fides, the credentials that you'd want, an enormous threat in your shared movie universe, and certainly in your shared comic book universe, and Marvel Comics will be following suit of sorts. Doctor Doom is going to be a very big thing. We are going to spoil a little bit of stuff going on in Blood Hunt number 5 this week. I do apologize about that. If you haven't read it yet and you have to stop here, I completely understand. But there's something that happens in there that is so important that we can't have this conversation without mentioning it. But we do have the information from the Marvel Next Big Thing panel. Not only do we have the Doom thing, we've got a story about Ultimate Universe, as well as how Amazing Spider-Man 8 Deaths of Spider-Man is going to tie into this Doom thing. Doesn't sound great, but we will definitely talk about it here and cover up the final things or remnants of whatever Marvel issued at San Diego Comic-Con here. And then I guess my coverage of that will be complete. Let's get into this Doctor Doom story. As if dealing with the vampire invasion wasn't trouble enough, next year, the Marvel comic book universe is going to have to deal with the rise of Doom. Teased at the end of Friday's Marvel Next Big Thing panel at San Diego Comic-Con 2024, Marvel is promising one world under Doom. No more information was released other than the teaser image, which features art from Ben Harvey showing the assembled heroes of the Marvel universe, including Captain America, the Hulk, Spider-Man, Black Panther, the Scarlet Witch, Wolverine, and more, bowing before Doctor Doom. And I think this is a great idea. Doom is such an awesome villain and really just underutilized within Marvel Comics as of late. He just kind of squats in his castle in Latveria, and sometimes he shows up and provides a little bit of pushback, or he has a plan that kind of goes against whatever the main story is, but he never really comes off as that enormous threat that Doctor Doom should always be. And if you're going to have a character or an entity in Marvel Comics that ends up taking over and the heroes are reluctantly having to take a knee or bow to him, Doctor Doom definitely fits the criteria. And I think it's a smart move to elevate Doom and make 2025 the year of Doom. It should all be about Doctor Doom. And this is the kind of thing that I think a lot of people can get behind. A big event featuring an enormous villain that people are excited about, not only in comic books, but it appears they're going to be excited about it, in the normie spaces as well, because now people are starting to realize that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be playing a version of Victor Von Doom in the MCU. I think there might be more of, I do believe there will be more than one Victor Von Doom, Doctor Doom, in this Doomsday movie, but having Robert Downey Jr. return to the MCU certainly puts a spotlight on the character. And there's a lot of cool stuff we can do with that. It certainly falls within the motivation sets of Doctor Doom. And also, most importantly, it falls within his capability to do something like that, especially with what happened recently in Blood Hunt, to whereas you have absolute power going on with DC Comics, and you have Amanda Waller basically taking over the world and stealing all the powers from all the superheroes and all the magic wielders and all that stuff, not really falling in the purview of her capability set. It's a little bit too big for just a human with high aspirations to actually accomplish, unless maybe you're Lex Luthor. But even then, you're getting beyond ridiculous kind of ideas at that point. Whereas Victor Von Doom, Doctor Doom, absolutely makes sense. We haven't even really seen him much in Fantastic Four as of late. We've certainly seen him here and there in like X-Men and some of those books. But I think it's a very smart move, and I'm very excited for this. This is something that I can get behind. My assumption is that this will be led by Jed MacKay, because the idea of what came out in Blood Hunt this week, which we'll get to here in a second, was introduced originally in Timeless #1. I think it was 2023, or maybe it was 2022, but it was written by Jed MacKay. He's the one that introduced a concept that's really going to blow this up and make One World Under Doom a real thing. So I am assuming this is going to be an Avengers storyline that's going to spread out and touch other books. So certainly a Doctor Strange book is going to be incorporated into this. He'll find a way to finagle Moon Knight in there, certainly the X-Men and all that kind of stuff. So I imagine this is going to be led by Jed MacKay, but it's going to be touching a lot more. For more information, it's worth noting, however, that the preview artwork of the final issue of Blood Hunt appeared to show Doctor Doom claiming the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme, something that's already been confirmed by Marvel in relation to the upcoming 8 Deaths of Spider-Man storyline unfolding in future issues of the Amazing Spider-Man series. That storyline, according to Marvel, will see Spidey essentially deputized as a sorcerer almost supreme, because Doom is preoccupied with other matters and needs some help protecting the world from evil magic. We'll get into that Spider-Man tie into this, but that's really the big crux of where this is coming from. If you didn't read Blood Hunt number 5, or you planned on reading and you didn't get to it and you got to these spoilers, yes, what was teased at the end of Blood Hunt number 4 did in fact happen. The way that they were able to expunge the vampire threat and save the day is that Doctor Strange handed over the Sorcerer Supreme's title to Doctor Doom, who then used that magic along with some other things to basically free the world and end the conflict and basically win. And then there's like an enormous broadcast throughout the entire world where Victor Von Doom announces himself as the new Sorcerer Supreme. The only effective part really of the Fantastic Four tie-in to Blood Hunt this week was that final page when you see Reed Richards realizing what's happening. I thought that was pretty good, but otherwise, don't read Fantastic Four this week. It was not very good. They did not effectively tie it into Blood Hunt. And it almost feels like the entire purpose of Blood Hunt ended up being to make Doctor Doom the Sorcerer Supreme. And I'm almost okay with a big storyline or maybe even a smaller crossover getting to that point, because it's a status quo change that would shake the foundation of Marvel Comics and should be an enormous deal. 60 issues was a bit much just to introduce Doctor Doom as the new Sorcerer Supreme. Really, other than that, we saw Khonshu was released from Asgard and Mark Spector was resurrected, but he was literally killed off just for that moment to happen in the book. And you can almost tell that Jed MacKay originally had planned Blood Hunt or an Avengers event dealing with vampires, and it was going to happen between like Doctor Strange, Moon Knight, and Avengers, and they blew it up into a 60-issue line-wide event, which was absolutely ridiculous and uncalled for. But at least something cool happens at the end of Blood Hunt. Doctor Doom is the Sorcerer Supreme. He saves the day. He's supposed to hand back the mantle, and he's like, you know what? I said I would give it back to you when I was done saving the world. The world ain't done saving yet, buddy. I got more changes to make, which definitely felt very much like Victor Von Doom and made Doctor Strange look like an idiot, but perhaps there was nothing he could do. There were a couple of other moments for other heroes to save the day, but they chose not to. Specifically, Scarlet Witch didn't want to kill all the vampires because there's good vampires out there, apparently. She didn't want to wipe out the species, so it fell on Doctor Doom to do it, and he's the big hero of the day. I imagine the people will be behind him because ultimately, the Avengers didn't save the day. Spider-Man didn't save the day. The Fantastic Four didn't save the day. The Sorcerer Supreme, Victor Von Doom, did, and that's how we're getting One World Under Doom, which I'm excited for. Hopefully they'll bring back Pepe the Raz and somebody cool like that to do the event, which this will be an event, or it's leading up to one. But it does feel like Blood Hunt ended up being an enormous waste to get to a moment that was admittedly cool, but everything around it was superfluous and unnecessary, other than freeing, I guess, the Khonshu from Asgard. There were some other things in there. I did mention Spider-Man. We've got some information about that, as well as the Ultimates from the Next Big Thing panel. ASM 6162 covers and new suit designs. The world has changed. Doctor Doom is Sorcerer Supreme, but he has no plans to spend his time like his predecessor. Each year, Doctor Strange would use every ounce of his power and experience to save the world from an evil god or a science. This year, Doom is delegating this task to Spider-Man. The leader of Latveria has given Spider-Man a new magical powered suit and 8 extra lives with which to save the world. True believer, they won't be enough. So I guess that's where the title 8 Deaths of Superman comes in, because he's been granted 8 extra lives by the genie, Doctor Doom, with the new, they're saying magic powered suit. It looks like a mech suit to me. Something Doctor Doom inspired. Certainly has a lot of metallic elements to it. I don't know why we need a new Spider-Man main suit design to show up every 18 months just for it to happen for one story arc and then to go back to the original, which is absolutely perfection. Maybe it's to sell covers. Maybe it's action figures, something like that. We're getting a new Spider-Man design to go with the Joe Kelly 8 Deaths of Spider-Man story that's going to be going on in ASM. Justina Ireland will be coattail riding Joe Kelly on that one. We are at least getting Ed McGuinness and Gleb Melnikov on the art. When I heard the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man idea, I was like, well, let's see what goes on there. As excited as I am for One World Under Doom, and I think that's a great idea, I don't like this idea. Basically, it sounds really dumb, and it's hard to get really excited about it. Would Peter Parker be subservient to Doctor Doom. Maybe if MJ was in trouble and she wasn't boning Paul. Maybe if he was going to kill Aunt May, something like that. But Doctor Doom wouldn't belittle himself. He wouldn't lower himself to that. He wouldn't want somebody that was forced into it kind of thing, because Doctor Doom sees himself as a world leader. I guess they're just trying to capitalize and waste some time, really, until they get to the actual ASM writer, whoever's actually going to be taking over full-time from Zeb Wells. This does make me far less interested in the 8 Dez's Spider-Man story arc that's going to be going on for 10 issues. It'll look great, really great artist. Justina Ireland was already an enormous red flag. The Sorcerer Almost Supreme Spider-Man. The Sorcerer Almost Supreme Spider-Man is also another red flag to me. And so there you go. That's what ASM is going to be for most of 2025. He's going to be some minion to Doctor Doom. Not exactly a great thing, but I guess they had to do something. And obviously Joe Kelly signed on to it. Hopefully he's got a really great idea and changes my mind. It is ASM. It's a comic book that I can't ignore, and I do have to read, unfortunately. I do hope my very low expectations are subverted in the other way, to where I'm like, wow, he really pulled this one off. But it is not sounding too good. Maybe you also heard this connecting to Doctor Doom. Dennis Camp, the Ultimates writer, is claiming, if you want to know how Robert Downey Jr. becomes Victor Von Doom, Doctor Doom in the Ultimate Universe, you've got to read the Ultimates. I think it's number 6 or maybe it's 8. It's got the cover with Doom's mask and a little mouse, Reed Richards stretching, and a little Hulk mouse. Well, not Hulk, but a Thing mouse in there as well. It looks like a rock or something. I don't believe that for a second, but he's trying to latch himself onto this. But we did get some other information about the Ultimates and what's going to be like, I guess, a mid-first year story break or recap or something. Ultimate Universe, 1 year in, number 1, Dennis Camp. It's been 1 year since the Maker locked away and the Ultimate Universe was left in the hands of his villainous council. And in that time, heroes around the world have risen up, determined to fix this broken world. Now, with 1 year left until the leaders return, the Maker's Council launches a bold plan to wipe out the heroes. This oversized one-shot sets the stage for the second year of the Ultimate line and includes the debut of the Ultimate version, versions of 2 major Marvel characters. So there you go. It's speculation fodder. We're going to have 2 new Marvel characters and their Ultimate counterparts arriving here within Ultimate Universe 1 year in, number 1, which I think is a fucking terrible title. 1 year in. I don't know. Like, I don't get it. Maybe 1 year later? That's still not good. There was a better way to explain it. But there you go. They're going to be taking little breaks, setting up whatever the second half is, waiting the Maker's return. For some reason, I was under the impression that the Maker was going to come back 18 months after all this started instead of 24 months. Maybe they pushed that back. Or maybe they consider the first 6 months something else. Maybe that is the timeline, because I think Iron Lad did go into the future 6 months and give Ultimate Spider-Man like his new origin or whatever. So maybe it had already been 6 months when the Ultimate Spider-Man started. But even so, this is coming out like a year into Ultimate Spider-Man, and Ultimate Spider-Man is going month by month. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense based on the timeline that I recall, at least from all the Ultimate stuff that I've been reading, and I basically have read all of it, other than the last issue of Ultimate X-Men. As far as the Ultimate Universe itself, at this point, like, I'm starting to lose my patience. Ultimate Spider-Man, good book. Probably not paced perfectly, but paced well enough with good enough art, with cool enough reveals and all that stuff to kind of get behind. Ultimate X-Men is not an X-Men book. I don't even know if it's really a superhero book. It's more like a YA girls coming of age type thing with witchcraft in it more than superheroism. And then the Ultimates number 2 was an enormous turnoff to me. And I think Ultimate Black Panther, the other book, I was really excited for, because I do like Brian Hill and I love Stefano Caselli, the artist. Like, it's pretty bland. It's just a Black Panther book. There's nothing special about it or unique other than T'Challa being with Okoye, but who cares? And then Moon Knight is actually like Khonshu and Ra are the Moon Knight. Like, it's not nearly as interesting as I think they thought it was when they came up with the concept. And it's not really doing anything to justify its existence other than having Ultimate in the title. So I was expecting more out of that one. Really, at this point, the only one I'm really enjoying is Ultimate Spider-Man. So it's been a little bit disappointing, because I thought Ultimate, It's been a little bit disappointing because I did think the Ultimate Universe was going to be really, really exciting. They were going to do some cool stuff, but they are definitely slow rolling this very poorly. But they are definitely slow rolling this universe, and the pacing has definitely become more and more frustrating basically every week, at least to me. Definitely would like to hear what you guys think about the Ultimate Universe, but there's our wrap up of what happened in the Next Big Thing panel. There was some other like Dogpool and his like puppy friends or something, like those Infinity comic books that come out on the Marvel app and stuff. None of those were actually important enough to actually talk about. I guess I acknowledged at least, but that's it. I definitely want to hear from you guys. What do you think about One World Under Doom? I think it's a great idea. If it's pulled off well, it's something I could definitely get behind. And Doom to me is a cool enough character that even if you don't do it great, as long as it's kind of cool and it has a couple of moments and a good artist, I'll probably forgive it for a lot of its faults just because I like Doom that much. So I do think that would be very, very cool. And I do appreciate your time here. If you appreciate what we're doing here on Thinking Critical YouTube, providing an honest perspective, a real honest appraisal of the comic book industry and where we are, I do want to invite you to come visit me on Thinking Critical Patreon. There's a link in the video description. You go there, you find the right tier for you, and we have lots of awesome extra videos and podcasts for you to enjoy, and I think you'll like it. Hope to see you there very soon.